Hello and welcome to the Dark Wolf's Den Show, your home for the paranormal, politics, and much, much more, exclusively on Censored Freedom Network. Now, here is your host, Jerry the Dark Wolf Hicks.
Thank you, Roger, and thank you so much for being here tonight with us, everyone. I am Jerry Hicks, also known as the Dark Wolf, and this is the Dark Wolf's Den Show. We have a lot to talk about tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Before we do, I think we have figured out our schedule, folks. I believe we're going to be going 5 nights a week, Monday through Friday, right here on BitChute, Rumble, YouTube, all of these platforms. And then on the weekends, we will be doing TikTok exclusive. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. I finally gave in. I finally went over there to that Tiki-Taki-Taki-Tavi, whatever the hell that is over there, and made an account and started trying to do stuff over there. Let me tell you something. I'm getting better traction on TikTok than I'm getting on any of these other platforms, folks. So that's where you guys come in. If you guys want to continue to see great quality information over here on these other platforms, you guys have got to share this show out. You've got to help us build up this audience and really build this community, build the wolf pack, ladies and gentlemen. And the way to do that is very simple, and it's free. That's right, free. I'm not asking for a penny. I've never, ever got paid off any of this in 5 years I've been doing it. What I do ask is that you share us out. Share us on every platform that you can find to share us on. Let everyone know that we're here. And also check out the Censored Freedom Network, as we are a part of. And that's over on the X platform. See if I can get the pointer right. Over on the X platform, right there. There we go, right there on X. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys could just help us out by doing that, we would really, really appreciate that. Just help this channel grow, help this information get out there. Over on TikTok every night, we've been doing the telepathy tapes. That's right, the telepathy tapes. So if you're into this, now, ladies and gentlemen, this is interesting. This is with non-speaking, usually autistic children who have certain abilities that go beyond the traditional scientific acceptance. So if you guys are interested in things like that, and we'll have a small conversation about that at the end of tonight's show, but go check us out over on TikTok. We've been covering the telepathy tapes one by one over there. But you're here, ladies and gentlemen, most likely to hear about politics. That's right. And we've got a lot of news tonight, let me tell you, folks. We had our show yesterday on Censored Freedom Network, the Censored Freedom Show itself, and we had a lot to talk about because Trump is a busy, busy man. He doesn't spend most of his time on the beach somewhere in Delaware. Mainly because Biden didn't know what in the hell was going on to begin with and was not actually running the country. His Chinese masters, more likely than not, is who was doing the running of the country, which explains why they tried to hurt us as much as possible. That's, of course, my opinion. Opinion based on evidence that I've found over the last 4 years or so, but, you know, I'm sure you guys are pretty aware of the same evidence I have. If you're not, go to the grocery store, try spending a little bit of money, you'll see what I'm talking about. But, ladies and gentlemen, President Trump is on a roll. That's right. There's been a lot of hashtag winning going on, and we're going to cover some of that tonight. Like what? Like President Trump to dismantle the education department. Ladies and gentlemen, I think this is beautiful. I think it is absolutely amazing. Why? I know a lot of you are thinking, wait, what are you talking about? Are you crazy? Then we won't have the states all teaching the same thing. You're right. You're absolutely right. We will not have a very centralized system that demands what can or cannot be taught, right? Like when it came to the I'll just go ahead and say the trans issues in the schools around children that had no place being in. If the centralized government said it would be, then you didn't have a choice. At this point, the states should all have the right equal choice according to the Constitution. I'm not the only one that thinks this, folks. Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution makes it very, very clear that education is not the role of the government. I'm going to repeat that. Education is not the role of the government. not at the federal level. It is the role of your state government. And you know what? There are 50 departments of education across this country. I ain't been to a state yet that did not have a Department of Education. And if you know of one, please let me know, because I don't. So those will be the ones responsible for the education in the state. And guess what? You're going to have some states that are bounds and leaps above and beyond others. When I was younger, I spent a lot of time out west, and it's a different curriculum out west than it was in the east over here. And I believe I was a little ahead when I actually came across, but the point is, you're going to have the variety. You're going to have free choice of education. You're going to have the free market of schools, ladies and gentlemen, the free market of knowledge. This is something that is overdue for happening, something we have needed for a very, very long time, something that is going to increase the demand for educational abilities. What do I mean? If I'm a parent with a child and I'm sending it to this school and the school is absolutely failing, my child's not learning a lot, and I know there's a school right up the road or maybe a half a city over that has much, much better education, that has much, much better quality teachers, that has much better ability to teach my child what they need to learn in a public setting. I'm not talking about private schooling. I'm talking about public schools. You're going to have that. Right? Okay, maybe it's not across the city. Maybe it'll be, another state. So if you're in Tennessee and you see good, okay, let me make this believable. Hold on, I almost said Kentucky. Let me try that again. So if you're in Tennessee and you see that there are a lot better educational facilities in Georgia, and Georgia's got a much better educational score. The teachers are better. There's more graduates coming out of that state. There's more college folks coming out of that state. Then you know what? I'm going to find a way to get to Georgia so my child can be in that educational system, which is going to take away from Tennessee's. Sorry, I had a little phlegm building in the throat there. So this is going to take money away from Tennessee. Will they still get some federal funds? Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure they will still, to a degree, get some kind of federal grants for education. Every state, not a doubt in my mind, will have the ability to do that. They're not cutting off all funding altogether for these departments of education. And I'm sure there's going to be all kind of fear tactics coming out in the next week or two, trying to get you to rise up and turn against the idea of dismantling the education department in the government. Do not listen to them. They're going to try to fearmonger and fearmonger and fearmonger you. They're going to try to tell you your children will be stupid, that Trump wants to make your kids idiots. You really want a really good deep dive, ladies and gentlemen? You want a really interesting rabbit hole to go down? Look at how the education system was set up. Look at who set the education system up and for what purpose. You might be quite surprised how that began, but you won't be surprised of how things are today. It's a reasonable aspect of the way it began, ladies and gentlemen. Maybe we'll do a show about that one day. I think that'd be an incredible topic because it is really, really a deep rabbit hole. But Trump is going to dismantle the centralization of the education within the federal government and send it back to the states where it absolutely belongs according to the Constitution. Norm Eisen, key architect behind the color revolutions and 180 lawsuits against Trump, threatens Trump's deputy AG with severe consequences for getting rid of the corrupt FBI agents that it's getting rid of, that the Trump administration is getting rid of. He says they're being targeted, right? So this is not going to end well. Apparently, they're going to go after AG Emile Bove. So expect to hear this name a whole lot more. Try to pull his law license probably. Try to do everything they can to make this man look horrible, right? To smear his name, to smear his job, to make him look like he's probably immoral. They probably have a couple women lined up to come out and claim that he touched them. Something tells me that's going to be the next thing they come out with, ladies and gentlemen, is some kind of sexual charge against this guy. And if that's what we see, folks, remember, you heard it here first before it ever came out, that that's exactly what they would do. I guarantee you they're going to go to war with this man, and they're going to use the American people and the court of public opinion to do it. Do not fall for it, ladies and gentlemen. They are doing their best to try to discredit the Trump administration in more sneaky and sly ways. They know they can't do it in the Congress. Their voice is down to nothing in the Congress. They know that the majority of the country is absolutely not with them anymore. And it was clear on election night. So, folks, these vipers are still at it. They're still going to try to hurt Trump. They're still going to try to hurt you, the American person. So be very, very careful who and what you believe, and including me. Don't even believe everything I say. By all means, please go back and validate any information you hear with multiple sources. This here is coming from the Gateway Pundit, just so you know where this source is. It was reported earlier today that a DHS official was caught on camera admitting that they would do everything they could to defy Kristi Noem, the new director of DHS. By the end of the day today, it had been found out that this person had now been put in imminent termination. Brandon Wright, the person's name is, it looks like will no longer be working for DHS. And hopefully he gave up some of the cronies that was working with him. If not, I'm sure they will be very easy to identify. Ladies and gentlemen, the American people gave this administration a mandate. We did not like the way things have been the last 4 years. We want the way things were the 4 years prior to that, without the mainstream fake lame news media and everybody and their brother screaming so loud that all you could hear was bad Trump, bad Trump, bad Trump, instead of all of the great, amazing, wonderful things he was doing. However, you could feel it in your wallet, couldn't you? You had money, you had a job, you had the ability to go out and do things, which you don't have that much anymore. Trust me, I'm right there along with you. A lot of you lost your job, your house, your life, your everything you had has been ripped away slowly but surely thanks to the Biden administration. And that's what he wants for every single American. And Trump is going to do his best to bring back wealth to this country. We'll come across another story here in a minute that's really got me kind of excited. But this DHS official that decided that they don't have to follow this administration, they don't have to do what they're supposed to do, well, it looks like this dude don't have to work at the government anymore because he now no longer will have a job. Acting D.C. Attorney Ed Martin announces incoming charges, so Doge is shaking things up, ladies and gentlemen. The last thing they wanted was any kind of audit of the government. That is one of the scariest things the government could have ever happened. You and I have nightmares of monsters. The government's monster is Elon Musk, ladies and gentlemen, and it has been made very, very clear. You see, he has been, with the Doge, clearing out the fat and garbage and wasteful spending in our government, which is in the trillions by now, undoubtedly. Right? Apparently, let's start at the beginning. We know that the left does not like what's going on. The tolerant left does not like what is happening. So Elon Musk apparently has pissed off some reporters to the point that they thought it would be a smart choice to dox the people which are working for Musk. On X, it was posted, here's a list of the techies on the ground helping Musk gaining and using access to the U.S. Treasury payment system. And they give a bunch of names out. And then somebody else, I guess another reporter who thought he was going to be slick, did the same thing. Well, this is doxing, and this is a crime. They have committed a crime. Their account has been suspended, And not only have they committed a crime by doxing these people and threatening them, ladies and gentlemen, the DC U.S. attorney is going to look into charging them for what they've done. That's not journalism, ladies and gentlemen. That's not journalism. That's cowardism, is what that is. That's all that is. That is scared running. They don't want people going in making the government work efficiently. They don't want people going in stopping their money laundering operations and all the wealth they've been stealing from the American people just as quickly as they can get their grubby hands on it. And what do they give us back in the event of a natural disaster? Oh, you can have $700 from the government because that's going to buy you nothing. That's going to buy you absolutely nothing. A couple nights in a hotel and you're out of money. What are you going to do? That's all the government is willing to give you, as much as they steal and scram and take from you? Ladies and gentlemen, we know how corrupt the government has become. We know how dirty the money laundering has become in this country and in our government. And now we've got somebody coming in to wipe them out, and who but the criminals themselves are running scared. They are running, excuse my language, shitless right now, trying to figure out how in the world to save this criminal organization that is being dismantled piece by piece, step by step. Donald Trump has come in this time cleaning house, and he's brought a couple helpers with him. Ladies and gentlemen, there's been so much money already cut from these excess spending, unnecessary spending things, that it's insane. And then the USAID, where is that story at? Let me pull that story up. Oh, before we get there, speaking of the bureaucracy, cost-cutting around the clock, Musk says Doge is putting in 120 hours a week, while bureaucrats opposing his work barely clock 40. And who else but him and Trump putting in at least 120 hours a week, right? Ladies and gentlemen, these are the people that are trying to keep this country in a position where it can never rise up, where the American people will be poor and wish they had something better the rest of their life and refuse to give them anything better, even though that's very plain and evident that they can. Why? Because we're not the ones that actually pay them, are we? Think about that one. Let that sink in. We're not really the ones that pay our Congress people and our administrators across this country, our representatives, are we? We know who's really paying these folks. We have no doubt that it's China, that it's our enemies like Iran, right? Ukraine. We know who's paying these folks. And it needs to stop. Their masters are dictating where our money goes, and it's not back to the American people. Now, you may think I'm crazy for saying this. Obama stood up and told us right before Trump come into office and told us, sorry, there's nothing else we can do. You're just going to have to learn how to live more poor. That's a real quote, ladies and gentlemen. I heard it myself with my own two ears. You're just going to have to learn to live with a less lifestyle. I believe was the exact quote. Excuse me, I may have paraphrased that just a hair, right? But Obama told us, sorry, there's nothing we can do. You're just going to have to get used to a worse living standard, and that's that. And then Donald Trump come into office and showed us that Obama was absolutely lying to our faces, and we bought it. He turned everything around and showed us that, yes, the government can work more efficiently, can work for the American people if they want it to, which that should tell you right there, they did not want it to, folks. Those ones that we've elected, we think we've elected, that's even in question every now and again, to represent us, they're not representing us. They're not representing our interests. They're not and have not for a very long time. Have not represented anything for the American people. You might have had one or two in there that were doing right, but they were either corrupted or kicked out. Smeared all to hell and back, probably brought up scandals that never even occurred, right? It really makes you wonder when you go back and look in history at the news reports that you bought the one-sided reporting of. What was actually going on? Who did they actually make mad? If for that long they were taking our money, making us poorer and poorer and poorer and telling us, sorry, there's nothing we can do, knowing damn well there is. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, this is what happens when you stop paying attention to our representatives and assume they're doing what they're supposed to do. They are not. Let's go ahead and clear out these two stories. I think I accidentally cleared out one too many, and here we go. This is the story that I was wanting to get to. USAID headquarters shut down by the Trump administration overnight, folks. USAID, as we know, has been one of the biggest money laundering operations in the history of the world, at least in the history of the country. And I'm sure you guys hear a little bit of noise behind me. That's my amazing grandchildren. Family is excellent, isn't it? So I am a real person, ladies and gentlemen. Clear, I'm not a robot. You can hear in the background I've got people and family here. I'm clearly not AI, right? But overnight, so this is not the story that I thought it was either. Oh, okay. That's the story I was looking for. I thought I had them together. Okay, USAID headquarters shut down. So who was it? I'm looking for the name. I don't want to give the wrong name. I want to say Marco Rubio, if I'm not mistaken, stepped in and said, no, this has been doing corrupt things and we aren't going to put up with it, so they shut the door overnight and locked it. The Daily Mail on Monday reported the U.S. Agency for International Development, USAID, employees got a nasty surprise when they noticed emails telling them the headquarters was shut down and to stay at home. At the direction of agency leadership, the USAID headquarters, or the Ronald Reagan Building in Washington, D.C., will be closed to agency personnel on Monday, February 3rd. So we've got further information on this story, folks. Secretary of State Marco Rubio took over as acting director of USAID after the agency staffers were told to leave the headquarters overnight. Rubio said the USAID is supposed to respond to State Department's policies, and it was refusing to do so. He said it's supposed to respond to State Department's policies. It refuses to do so. A lot of function of USAID will continue, but it has to be aligned with our foreign policy. Folks, somebody's finally stepping in. It happens to be Marco Rubio this time, and stopping the corruption and the overspending going on, just like Elon Musk, going on in this country. And the Democrats, you can see they're taking it so very well. They found podiums in public, so clearly they're out here to make a statement. Let's hear what these corrupt people have to say, starting with incestuous Ilhan Omar, who married her own brother to get in this country. Ladies and gentlemen, I know you think I'm being mean and facetious. Look this up. She literally married her own brother. If that was a Republican, they would have been shamed through the ground and the news wouldn't shut up about it. But it's a Democrat, so you don't hear about it unless you listen to this show.
It's really, really a sad day in America. We are witnessing a constitutional crisis.
Oh, really?
We talked about Trump wanting to be a dictator on day one, and here we are.
A dictator, the person trying to save the country money and clear the corruption out and shut down an organization that was refusing to do what the State Department said to do, which is their job. That's dictator. Okay. Let's hear what crazy lunatic Raskin had to say.
Elon Musk, you didn't create USAID. The United States Congress did for the American people.
Remember I told you Marco Rubio shut down the building, not Elon Musk. You guys heard that, right?
And just like Elon Musk did not create USAID, he doesn't have the power to destroy it. And who's going to stop him? We are. We're gonna stop him.
Yeah, something tells me he don't have the ability to stop this. Something tells me if he tried to stop this, he might end up sitting in jail next to some of the rest of his friends, who may be more joining him very, very shortly. That's ironic to hear the left chanting USA.
Thank you all for being with us today.
Remember, these are the same ones that said the USA is bad for the last 4 years, tried to convince you the USA is a horrible place. Now they're chanting USA like they're some kind of patriotic people. Are you kidding me?
We very much appreciate your responding.
Or maybe they're saying USAID. Maybe they're saying USAID. That would make more sense instead of aid.
So quickly. We are here today. We're here today to shine a light on a crime that is unfolding before our eyes and support our tremendous U.S. civil servants and U.S.
Ladies and gentlemen, anybody who is fighting against corruption against corruption being moved out, anybody who wants a corrupt government doesn't need to be in government. That is a traitor and a treasonous person, ladies and gentlemen. These people have lost a lot with this. Their Chinese masters are really not going to be happy. Their foreign masters that just stopped receiving all this aid from the United States that they had done so much work to arrange for them is no longer going to be happening. You know who else is going to be very upset about this? Anthony Fauci, ladies and gentlemen. You remember where you first really heard about USAID, folks? Do you know where you first really heard about that? Because I think I do. It was during the 2020 year of the experiment, right? Or the whole time of the experiment. I'm looking for a certain article that I don't seem to be able to find. I thought it was this article, but it's not. This is intriguing. There's another article here about USAID. Let's see if we can't find it over here. I do apologize. We're going to go hunting on the Gateway Pundit and see if we can't find this last article here. So, you know what? I don't need the article. Ladies and gentlemen, you remember Anthony Fauci was getting paid from USAID, right? This is where the corona experimentation overseas was being paid for, right? Remember the Beagle controversy with the sandflies? Who paid for that? USAID. USAID was sponsoring and funding a large amount of illegal and criminal activities. A lot of the money was going to different organizations that had no business getting it. As a matter of fact, the leader, one of the leaders of USAID was meeting with both the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation a number of times, as well as the George Soros Open Foundation, or Open Society Foundation, whatever it's called. I'm going to repeat that because it's really important. This person that was leading USAID was being influenced by Bill and Melinda Gates and George Soros. Ladies and gentlemen, when we are out here saying that George Soros is controlling the government, we're not being facetious. We're not saying it just because we don't like George. Ladies and gentlemen, this man has got his hand in every pie that he can put it in, and it's all about destroying the United States. He has made it very clear, and he said it more than once, that this is his goal, is to destroy the United States. And these are the people working with our U.S. aid office. Let that sink in. What Trump did is go in and clean out a major deep state stronghold. That's what he did. Here we go. This is the article I was looking for. I just had the wrong news station. Senator Tom Cotton that warned in 2024 that a lot of the taxpayer money going to Israel or Gaza was going to Hamas, if not all of it, because Hamas is their government. Syrian national charged with diverting millions in funding to terrorist organizations out of USAID. Former USAID administrator, here we go, reportedly meets with Soros Foundation. Samantha Power was her name. She also met with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, is listed here too. Taxpayer funds directed to Chinese entities known for experimentation research. See experimentation research. You understand? USAID accused of removing negative finding from Inspector General reports. This is 2014. So, those are just a couple examples of how dirty and corrupt our USAID department has become. It's become nothing more than a great big money laundering operation, a viper's nest of deep state operatives, making sure our money goes anywhere but the American people's pocket. Make sure it goes everywhere out of this country and does not benefit the American people in any way whatsoever. As a matter of fact, it's been spent on things that have actually harmed the American people more so than anything. So am I happy Trump shut down USAID? I couldn't be happier. I want to dance a jig right now. I'm that happy. But who will not be happy here very soon is Democrat Governor Murphy, as he has openly, brazenly admitted to harboring illegal aliens on his property, in his home, and dares the Fed to intervene, ladies and gentlemen. I would love to see Tom Homan come knocking on his door with a search warrant for his entire property and clean out any issues that may arise. I think if you're going to be brazen enough to come out here and dare the Fed needs to be brazen enough to show you what you just asked for. At least that's my opinion. We've got a really, really long show, it seems like, today, ladies and gentlemen. A little longer than I meant for it to be. So, I do have one more thing I want to talk about real quick. I've been over here on TikTok, like I said. Let's go ahead and change screens real quick. That was politics. We're going to go into paranormal and conspiracy. That's right. So, ladies and gentlemen, I've been over here on TikTok and I've been listening to the telepathy tapes. If you have not had a chance to listen to the telepathy tapes, I encourage you to please go do that. You will be very, very intrigued. With that said, I was younger. Well, let me ask you this before I get into the story. Do you think that we all have the gift of psychic phenomena? Think about that. So we've heard about psionics with the government experimentation with UFOs. We've heard this from psychics for years and years. Psychic ability, of course, being a questionable thing in the skeptic realms. But do you think at some level, some deep level, maybe, just maybe, we're all connected? When I was younger, I started working around food industry pretty young. And when I say pretty young, in my teenage years, 13, 14, 15, probably about 15. I was working in a restaurant, and I was also working as a concession clerk, volunteer work for a volunteer group that I was a part of at the time. And I noticed a weird little trend. I noticed in the concession stand that people would come and go in groups, and they would order a lot of the same things. Now, one time would have been, just a fluke. But I noticed it over and over and over. And as I continued to work in restaurant, I continued to notice this. There's the joke that we used to have running in a lot of restaurants called the special of the day. And that was whatever the public was going to decide they wanted. You could put a special of the day up all day. That is not necessarily what the public's going to choose. What do I mean? So, for instance, I worked at Dairy Queen for a while. And one day, the majority of customers that come in would all order a peach blizzard. The next day, the majority of the customers would be ordering onion rings. The next day, the majority of the customers would be ordering a cheeseburger, no tomato. Yeah, I got that specific sometimes. These people are not meeting in the parking lot and going, all right, you go through drive-through, I'll go in the front, let's do this, go. You know that's not the case. I know that's not the case. So what would explain this? It's clearly happening and the evidence is there. What would explain it? And you can go across any retail. This is what really, really intrigues me. It's across any retail sector, any sector that deals with the public. So I come up with the theory, at least I thought I did, I'll explain that in a minute. I come up with the theory that we're all connected, a collective consciousness, if you will, at some very, very, very deep level. Have you ever been sitting beside somebody and you think something, maybe even kind of think it loudly? I know you know what I mean. And then they look over you and say, huh? Did you say something? Not verbally. Have you ever been in a circle of friends hanging around, talking, and you think something but you don't say it? And the person 2 people down from you says it word for word, or the person across from you, whatever the case may be, another person in the circle says it word for word as you thought it. Generally nothing to do with the conversation at hand. I know you have, because I've had all of these experiences myself, and I know a number of people who will admit they have too. So again, I come up with the idea of the collective consciousness. And imagine my surprise when I went to do some research outside of basic, experience, and I found Carl Jung, who had beat me to it by about 3 decades. But at least it told me that I was on the right track. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Jerry Hicks, also known as the Dark Wolf, and this has been another episode of the Dark Wolf's Den Show for February the 3rd, 2025. Until tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen, join the Wolf Pack, X, BitChute, Rumble, YouTube, all the different channels, folks. And we will see you all again tomorrow. Oh, yeah.